And welcome back, peeps, to another wonderful episode of the World of Ted, where we explore how singularity saints can learn, live, and love truly enjoyable dating. So, the last two episodes you've been watching, you should know that we're in this series of articles by Suzette. Series of 3 articles. We've already done the first 2, so now we're going to finish up today with the last of the series. So let me just start this up here. And, of course, I'm going to give you the same caution that I've given you the last 2 episodes. This is published in Exponent. Exponent doesn't always publish content that is, 100 in line behind the brethren. So we're going to take what we hear here with a grain of salt. So here we go. Last of the series articles here. Singles at the Temple by Suzette. Again, published in 2016. I think somebody kind of messed up. This might be like, I don't know if this is a typo or a code error, but, that updated date, I don't think should be the same as the published date, especially with what we talked about last time. Where she said she updated it 5 years later. So, and this, 2016 was 5 years ago. So, I don't know what we're going to see here, but let's find out together. Note about the Singles series. This is the last post in this series. Singles and Married in the Elders Church, which has run for over 2 weeks. We tried to post about a variety of topics that touch the lives of LDS singles, but we realized that we did not cover them all. There are other singles not addressed in this series, such as widowers and LGBT members. There are also other situations, such as single parenthood, that were not addressed. We wish we could have covered them all, but hope that our offering of available resources has been enlightening and beneficial to you, our readers. And now our concluding post, Singles at the Temple. As a primary child, I sang, I love to see the temple. I'll go inside someday to covenant with my father. I'll promise to obey. For the temple is a holy place where we are sealed together. As a child of God, I know this truth. A family is forever. Sorry. Sometimes I just wish life were a musical, so I just can't help but breaking out into song. As a young woman, I wore my mother's wedding dress for pictures in front of the Boise Temple. Wow. So you're not from Utah, you're from Boise. I think you need to expand yourself out a little bit. Going back to what I said last time. So I thought last time from the comments you were making that you were in Utah and that you need to get out of that culture. There is some of that culture in the Treasure Valley of Idaho, but it's also a little bit more open because I've spent a lot of time there, so I understand that. I did this gladly at the time, but the thought horrifies me now. Oh boy, here we go. I always thought that temples equal families and marriages. As I grew older and remained unmarried, the temple became a place of sadness, a place where I was reminded of what I lacked rather than what I was given, a place of remorse rather than of peace. My initial excitement for the temple became avoidance, especially on Saturday mornings when I was sure to see many happy brides. Oh, gosh, here we go again. Okay, so, again, your focus is too grounded in this life and this world, and you need to expand your vision. The temple and what we do in the temple is symbolic of the eternities and the eternal journey we're making towards our full potential. You're missing the point so much. I mean, you listen, it became a place of sadness. Of course it's a place of sadness. Of course it's a place of remorse, a reminder of what you lack, because that's what you're focused on. You're focused on what you don't have. You're focused on what you can't do. And when that's your focus, then your reality is going to be right in alignment with that, because your focus determines your reality. So when you focus on what you don't have, when you focus on what you can't do, you're going to have a reality that's filled with lack because you're focused on what you lack. You're going to have a reality filled with emptiness because you're focused on what you don't have. You're going to have a reality filled with disempowerment. You're going to feel imprisoned. You're going to feel trapped because you're focused on what you can't do. You're focused on your limitations. Turn that around. When you understand what the temple really is all about, It makes it easier for you to focus on what you do have, on what you can do. And when you focus on what you do have, then you enter a reality of abundance. You trade a reality of scarcity for one of abundance because you realize what you do have. And when you focus on what you can do, then that gives you a reality of empowerment. And it's so different, but it's all with the choices that you make and how you're choosing to look at things. It's time for us to start adopting eternal perspectives and quit being so grounded in this life. I wanted to love the temple. I wanted to feel peace. I wanted to commune with God. But I was distracted by the heavy Sunday school rhetoric that joined the temple with the eternal family it didn't have. You're blaming the culture when you should be blaming you. You should be blaming you. This isn't about the culture. And don't get me wrong. I got my own grievances with the culture. I think for far too long, we've been having a culture that is centered on being married with kids. And that has created such a challenge for the singles demographic because we're trying to fit in when by definition, we do not have the marker of belonging that will identify us as fitting in. So I'm right with you if you're going to say we need to make some changes in the culture, but I am not with you if you're going to blame the culture before you start blaming yourself. I'm not in line with that. It's your life. You make choices that determine your results. Because this is the thing, peeps. The life that you have is determined by the results that you get. The results you get come from the actions you take. The actions you take come from the choices you make. And the choices you make come from how you choose to think inside. So it's really all on you. And before you go off and start playing the victim and saying, well, I can't do such and such because other people will always decide against me. You need to understand that their choices deciding against you are heavily influenced by choices you make and how you choose to approach them, how you choose to present yourself. So again, it all goes back to you. And until you own your life and start taking responsibility for your life and the results that you have in your life, you'll never get the life you want. Never. You want to turn this around? You have to make different choices and start with changing the way you think up here. Again, if you're a long-time audience member, you know this. This is one of those long-standing themes we have to Join the Journey Radio. So if you want to listen in, just check out the website, jointhejourneyradio.com. We have free live broadcast every Wednesday night. Check it out on the Join the Journey Radio Network and, listen for free and you can get that. We've also got podcasts we're giving out. I've got clips of the program on the YouTube channel. I've got the blog post, which is essentially the monologue for the program. I mean, you can get content that you need that we're delivering out to you. There's so much free content we're delivering. And just all the stuff for you is to get on board. Quit staying at the station. Get on board the train. Let's talk about Moroni. I persisted in my attendance with the determination to find solutions, albeit less frequently. One day as I walked toward the white spires, I noticed the angel Moroni at the very top, all alone. Well, I thought, he's alone, maybe even single, and he's here. Gave me a bit of a lift as I went in. Later that night, I read about Moroni in Mormon 8:5. And behold, I would write if I had room, but I have not, nor I have none, for I am alone. My father hath been slain in battle, all my kinsfolk. I have not friends nor whither to go, and how long the Lord will suffer that I live, I know not. After that, I purposefully looked for Moroni. It was a symbol of solidarity with my situation. As an example of faithfulness in the midst of trial, gave me courage to go in, alone. It became an anchor, brought calm to my heart and spirit. It allowed me to begin to hear and see better. As I could more fully commune with the divine, I grew in understanding. This is part of what I'm getting at. By focusing on what you do have, this is what this thing's doing. You're looking at Moroni and you're saying, I have something in common with him. So this is helping you to focus on what you do have. And when you focus on what you do have, that leads to reality of, you realizing and living in the bounty of what you really do have. It leads to that reality of abundance, a reality of gratitude. And that's what I'm starting to see here. You're starting to change. That reality starts to change because you're changing your focus. I I journeyed to wholeness not long ago while teaching the primary children about baptism. It struck me that this ordinance was a solo commitment. I taught the children that baptism is a covenant you make with God, just you and God. They began to think of other saving ordinances, my confirmation, initiatory, and endowment. They each are covenants I made one-on-one with God. This is an idea that my theologian friend Maxine Hanks has often shared. As a single woman who often looks for ways to fit myself into church doctrine, I was excited about this idea. The next time I attended the temple, I went with this frame in mind, and it made for a more powerful, meaningful experience. I looked for symbols and references to the individual. Okay, so yeah, two things here. I see what direction you're going in, so I'm going to make two comments here. The first one is, again, you seem to be falling in line with this idea I've been going off with for the last few minutes about you focus determines your reality. So you start focusing on what you do have, focusing on what you can do, then that's going to open up a reality that's much more positive. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, how do I say this? Although I will agree that we need a culture that is centered around Christ and centered around shared covenants and the commitment to keep those covenants, I don't think that necessarily means that we need to lose our focus on family. And it's a fine balancing act. In some ways, it really is a fine balancing act. You don't want to promote family to the point where you alienate people who don't have what would be considered the standard definition of a family. But at the same time, you don't want to fail to promote family to the point where you start letting in the idea that the singles life is equivalent to the married life. The singles life is equivalent to the life of family. And I don't think we want to go there because I don't think they're equivalent. I think we want to, again, take that eternal view of our situation and realize that we're walking now in this moment, in this mortal life, in this mortal existence, in this fallen, imperfect mortal world, that this is just one portion of the entire journey we're going to be making in the eternities. I saw the temple bringing me an individual soul together with God. As I made covenants with God, I felt myself coming together with God, becoming whole. And when I am whole, I can enter the presence of God. Upon this realization, the worship did not include my missing spouse or missing children. It was about me, myself, on a quest to return to my real home and my divine family. And that is what the temple represents. I mean, again, it's not about trying to fit into the doctrine like you were talking about before. What you're really talking about is not doctrine. What you're talking about is culture. The way people interact with each other, the way that we define groups and tribes, and the way we determine who's a member of a tribe and who isn't a member of the tribe. You're talking about culture. So, when you start, looking at this as, the individual portion of the temple experience and how, a lot of the covenants we make, most of the covenants we make in the temple, we make as individuals. Most of the covenants we make, throughout our lives are made as individuals. And so, when you focus on that aspect of it, then yeah, I can see you're getting the results you're getting. Because again, your focus determines your reality. And this is the view that we really should have. This is what the temple really represents. In the endowment, the session ends, the veil is lifted. I see heaven and earth become one. I see heavenly parent and an earthly child come together with a single understanding. Natural woman is consumed by the Spirit. And it is then, when we are all made whole and covered by the atonement of Christ, we pass to the presence of God, our Father, and our Mother. Temple hold many layers. Holds. Typo. I share only a small piece of the symbolic nature in order to demonstrate how the temple can be more meaningful to the individual. But it's not the only reason you're sharing a small piece. Mysteries in temple worship. The temple could be a place of meditation and contemplation. When I was younger, I focused much of my seeking on specific answers for my life. Where should I go to school? How should I direct my career? How should I manage a relationship? As I grow older and mature, many of those life questions settle. So rather than ask specific earth life questions, I find myself contemplating the mysteries of God. Nephi 10:17. I'm guessing that's first Nephi from the first words of your quote here. I was desirous that I might see and hear and know these things by the power of the Holy Ghost, which is the gift of God to all who diligently seek him. Though I'm far from comprehending all that I wish, I am learning. Many ideas have impressed me. I sense the understanding of things in my spirit that are hard to write or verbalize. And that's good. That's very good. Again, you're starting to get this vision of what the temple really is, a representation of our eternal journey and not just one little aspect that we tend to focus on here in this life. Single member of the church, there are some parts of my life that are simple, and I find that simplicity allows my mind and spirit to be free of some concerns, allowing the Spirit to teach me directly. Okay, so you've cleared some of the mental real estate. It gives more room for the Spirit to come in, and you develop greater sensitivity to the Spirit. Hey, that's great. I'm with you there. Single members and unique insights. As Christine Haugland writes in an early blog post in the series, singles are also in a unique position to teach. Simply by existing within the body of Christ, unmarried saints open space for a richer and deeper understanding of God. Amen to that. Single members have unique insights learned through sacred, lonely experience. Aloneness can heighten holy worship. I agree with that. I encourage my single friends to use their unique temple experiences to teach the gospel in new ways, with the springboard of singular communion with God. Offer understanding to the wholeness of all members, and I encourage married members to seek out their single friends for spiritual nurture, counsel, and blessing. Single members share in God's bounty, consecrations, and inheritance. I have a problem with the way that ended, and it looks like this is the end of the article. But again, it all comes back to what I've been saying all this time. Your focus determines your reality, and when you see when you see something like the temple through the eyes of the culture that we have at this moment, at this time, in this mortal, imperfect, fallen world, then, you're going to get a reality that is aligned with that. And that not necessarily going to be the reality that you want to have. So if you want a different reality, then you need different results. You need a different meaning. That the other way to get it, because that's really what our reality is. Reality is the combination of the results we get and the meaning we ascribe to those results. We choose the meaning. So you can get the same results and have a completely different reality. You just ascribe a different meaning to that, those results that you get. But typically when we talk about a new reality, what we're really talking about is getting new results. So we want different results. And to get different results, you have to take different action. There's no other way around it. Actions come from one thing and one thing only, and that is, results come from one thing and one thing only, and that is action. A Freudian slip there. Getting ahead of myself. Actions come from choices that we make, the way that we think inside. So, get good with you. Start changing the way you think on the inside. And we talk about these things on the Join the Journey radio program. So if you're not already listening, then hey, why are you standing at the station? Get on board the train. Go to the website, jointhejourneyradio.com, learn more, get on the train. And that's the end of the article here and the end of the series. And so that's all we got for this episode of The World of Ted. So be sure to join us next time. We'll learn more about how single Latter-day Saints can learn, live, and love truly enjoyable dating. See you next time.